Hey everybody, Miss Natalie here. We're going to talk today about seeing. Now, not how you or I see out of our physical eyes. I don't know that much about that. But we're going to talk about how God sees. There's a woman in the Bible named Hagar, and she was the servant of Abraham and Sarah. And unfortunately, Abraham and Sarah kicked her out at one point, made her leave their community of people as they're traveling, and she was pregnant. She had a baby in her tummy. In the wilderness, no food. She'd never been to that place before. She didn't know where to get water. She was alone in the wilderness. But God came to her in the wilderness, spoke with her, and told her what she should do next. And she called God one of my favorite names for God. It's a phrase, really, not just a one-word name, but she calls God, "You are the God who sees me." Nobody else really saw Hagar, as in nobody else in her life thought Hagar was important. Sarah kicked her out and left her in danger to die. But God saw Hagar. God thought Hagar was important. And that way of talking about seeing reminds me of another story in the Bible, the story of David, the shepherd boy who eventually became king of Israel. When David was anointed, which is when Samuel, the prophet, took oil from a really cool ram's horn and poured it over his head as a sign of God's blessing over him. When he did that, there's a really cool conversation that God and Samuel have. So God sends Samuel to Bethlehem, telling him, "I'm going to anoint somebody in Jesse's family to be the next king." But he doesn't tell Samuel which of Jesse's sons it's going to be. So Samuel goes to Bethlehem, he finds Jesse, and he says, "Hey, show me your sons." And so Jesse brings his oldest son there first. And Samuel's like, "Oh, this guy. He is tall, he is handsome, he looks strong. This is the kind of guy God's going to want as a leader. It's got to be him." And God says, "Nope, not him." And then this is what God says to Samuel. "The Lord doesn't see things the way you see them. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." And this isn't heart as in your physical pumping heart that's in your chest. This is heart as in who you are, what your thoughts and feelings are, how you think about the world, the hopes you have for yourself, who you are on the inside, not just what everybody sees on the outside. So to help us think about that as a really fun way to demonstrate that, I'm going to take this little Clementine, see? Just a little Clementine. And I'm going to turn it into a lamp. And that is going to help us see something that we couldn't see by looking at the outside, or even by peeling it, or even by eating it, or by squishing it and turning it into juice. We're going to see this orange in a whole new light. So, first thing you do, you take a knife and you just cut gently, very gently through the peel, all the way around in as straight a line as you can. And then you just stick your thumb just on the inside of it. And you just go around. Now we're trying not to rip the peel, because the peel is very important. So do one side. Then you just do the other side. Around like that. And then when we get, we're going to try, see there's the little hole, the little divot on either side. We're going to be super gentle when we peel it away. And we're going to try to get as much of the stem that runs through. You can see it a little bit sticking up. So I got a little one on this side. Let me see what I got on the other side. Nothing. So now you just put this aside. Eat it if you want to. Well, you should eat it. We shouldn't waste it. It's delicious. So I'm going to put it in this little teeny tiny cup in case I spill, because sometimes I spill. So you take the side that has the stem that sticks up, put it in a little cup. Take your oil. This is just any oil. I'm just using canola oil from my cupboard. And then you just pour into the half of your clementine. Now the trick is you don't want to submerge. That's my bird clock. You don't want that little stem to be all the way under the oil. A little bit's got to stick out. So now you can do this with matches, or you can do it with one of those cool clicky wand things. The clicky wand thing would be a safer way to do it, but I don't have one. I just have matches. And it might take a little while, but you're going to light it, and you will stick the flame on the top of that little stem until it lights. It can take a couple of tries. Last time I did it, when I was testing this, it took me 3 matches. I might have overfilled this one, so we'll see. All right, that has caught. Have a good safe place to put your matches if you use matches. So now, while we wait a second for that to become a big enough flame, I don't know if it's going to. I might have to use my cheater. My orange that I already made. Just take the edge of your knife and cut a triangle out of the other side. So you can see just a triangle out of the top. And then what you do, you just take the lid and you put it on top of there. And here's where my camera on my computer is annoying because I discovered it sucks in too much light, so you can't see the really cool thing that happens. So I'm going to show you the other cheater way to do it is to take a flashlight and you do the same thing. You just make a little cup. So I'm going to try. I've got to angle it. I've got to do all sorts of things so that you can see the really cool thing that happens. Oh, there we go. Now you can kind of see it. You see there are all these circles. Hundreds and hundreds of little circles that are revealed when we shine the light through this clementine peel. And that's something that we couldn't have seen at all before. It's hard to see when the computer light sucks up all the available light. But when you do this at home, if you do it with a lamp, or if you do it with a flashlight. A flashlight is a pretty cool way to do it because then you can just look right at it and you can see all the hundreds and hundreds of circles. Some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller, some of them are brighter, that we couldn't see at all before. We might not even have been able to guess that they were there. And so just like with this little funny trick that we can do here, that reminds me that our God is the God who sees us. He sees me and he sees you. He sees not just the outside that everybody else sees. He doesn't just see what you do, which everybody else can see. God can look into your heart. He knows how you're feeling. He knows what you're thinking about. He knows what you dream of. Because he loves you. And when you love something, it's important to you. So we are important to God, important enough that he sees us. So thank you, God, for seeing me, for seeing all of me, way into the heart of who I am, and for loving me. So I hope you try this, and you'll see that it really does work, even though it's hard to see through my computer camera. I love you. I miss you.